Welcome to What Juices You, where we explore what energizes leaders and how that energy fuels performance, connection, and growth. I'm Brady Wilson from Juice Inc. Today, I'm excited to have Jennifer Paylor on the show. Jennifer is a seasoned executive coach. She's a talent and culture leader, an organizational thinker with deep experience driving leadership development, culture transformation, and learning strategies at global enterprises. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brady. So nice to be here.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with a question I've been asking leaders for over 20 years now. What juices you? And I want to put a finer point on it. And when I think about you, Jennifer, and we've known each other for a bit now, I think about someone who is not only passionate, but just devoted to unlocking human potential, human flourishing. What juices you when it comes to that? Because that takes energy, that takes time, and it takes a lot of devotion. What is it that sustains your energy in pursuit of that marvelous goal?
Well, thank you, Brady. I love that question. Very simple. I believe in people. And it sounds simple on the surface, but when I think about my past, as a little girl, I've always wanted to make sure that everybody was, brought along. I didn't like the concept of somebody's popular or somebody's not. I didn't like the concept of someone came from this area, this background, and somebody did not.
Right.
So as a little girl, I would always find ways as a child to bring people together. And I was 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
When I started getting older and started, learning basic things, math. I'm a huge math, science person, and I love the arts as well. So I could draw and I could sing. I would figure out solutions and systems and see problems differently. I actually see people, in the system. And some people, as a tech person or even an art person, if you're just art, you just see the art. If you're tech, you just see the tech. I just had this way of making sure that I saw the person in the system. So when I got into my career, that kept happening. And the more and more I saw all kinds of systems, I never disregarded, and I never disregard the human being.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting pattern recognition, because you're not necessarily looking for the patterns of all the different components in the system. You're looking at the human being inside the system, and you're not pitting them against each other as adversaries. There's this, it sounds like there's beautiful integration of the human and the system. Is that the way you see it?
Yes, it's like an orchestra. The system and the human always work well together. And the potential that humans have, so my background in human resources, I don't like the word resources. I didn't create it, so we sometimes live with things.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the reason I question resources is this idea of human beings are more than resources. And from a technology background, we have widgets. When we program things or we have manufacturing, things become objects, they become resources. Literally, my first programming language is object-oriented C++. So when I hear resource or object, I think, okay, a human is more than just something to be used. So if it were me and I created this place and I didn't, I think more about humans flourishing and how do humans make the system better. If you think about the beginning of the world to now, it's all built on humans. At the end of the day, we live in nature. I love nature. You see these trees? I love nature. I love living things, but humans have a way of advancing things that you can't predict. So in a system, Brady, as an engineer, when you're coding, you're writing, or you're building, there's one thing I've learned: you cannot predict You might be able to have assumptions and sometimes it's right, but you can never predict a human being 100%. Now, I know the question will come up around AI. I have an idea about that too, but humans are so amazing to me. And so that's why I get passionate about how do we unleash them in everything, in every system that they play in.
Right. You know, one of the things, Jennifer, the older I get, the more I have gratitude and appreciation for is mystery. And there is the transcendent mystery, you know, whatever you call that, the divine creator, etc. I think mystery is actually not a bad name, but we see that in human beings. And I think, you know, that we're not breaking things down to some sort of linear formulaic approach to human beings. I think what you're saying is there's a little bit of, hey, take your shoes off. There's holy ground here. This is a human being that you cannot predict exactly what could happen. Possibility can cause things to emerge that you could have never predicted. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. One day I was in a lab and I was thinking about my career as an engineer. And I saw humans, some growing in leadership roles, some staying in the lab, some conditioned to accept a norm. And I said, what is this?
Yeah.
We can't predict humans, the possibility of it. Humans can change their minds for whatever reason, whenever they want to.
Right.
So there may be a situation where, let's take an employee at work and they say, well, I want to be a marketing manager. They get into that role in a system and they start doing the work and ideas come, they make relationships, economy changes, all types of things. Right. They might change their mind and they might do something else, and that's okay. So for me, I don't like to hinder or suppress a human. It's more of when humans go on this journey and they learn things and they decide to make decisions along the way or not, how do we support that? How do we support their life? Think about it. We have one life to live. And there are decisions that we make. There are things that we think about. There are people like you, Brady. I found you. I studied your work, and the work that I studied with Juice Inc. It really captured what that energy is in a human, right? And so we are stewards of that as human beings. So I think us as leaders and systems and corporations and institutions, when we design that, we have to keep the human in mind. It's not just about only revenue, right? We need revenue to run a business, but it's truly about how do we see people differently. I don't know if you've heard that word, Sayabonu. Have you heard that word, Sayabonu? In Africa?
I have. I see you and all your relatives.
I see you. Yes, and I exist. So if people... One of the things I do when I'm training coaches, I love training coaches. I am a coach, but to me, I love to see coaches, get that. When you say, I see you, and the person responds, I exist. If you just say, I exist, even for people listening, there's something that happens in your energy and in your insight that you cannot really explain or articulate. The mystery of it. Just being human beings, not humans. Sometimes we are doing human doings, but just to say, I see you, and then the response is, I exist, is so liberating, and it gives human beings freedom. And I think a system or company that allows a human being to be free, those are the most successful companies. The cultures are great. Not saying we're perfect, right? Human beings are not perfect. But I think we can be free in certain systems.
I love that. And I feel like freedom has taken a bit of a rap because leaders look at that and go, people just want free reign and they just want to go rogue and they just want to be mavericks. And I think what you and I are probably saying when we say free is you can actually be released to fulfill your true potential. You can be released and free to be all that you were wired to be and all the things that you were wired to do in this crazy world of ours. I think that's a different kind of freedom.
It is definitely a different kind of freedom because if, I have heard that, they'll say we have to put guardrails on people. We can't let them get out of control.
Right.
Sound like I'm talking about a dog sometimes, right? But
Yeah.
when you think about freedom, it is people being the best that they can be. Most people in the world, I don't know the number, but I'll say 99%. People wake up every day and they just want to be the best version of themselves. They want to make it. They want to be successful. Most people are not thinking about going rogue, taking the company down, intentionally doing something wrong. That's why I say I believe in people. And we're not perfect. So if you think about it like that, assume good intent, I think that you will we have seen this. We have seen this play out, especially in this technology era, when we allow people to reach their potential.
Yeah.
Literally, the sky is the limit. You break barriers. You literally create things together. You solve hard problems. You even have tighter bonds to where humanity will stick together. So I think it's more of a reward to allow humans, we hire them for their talents and their skills.
Yeah.
And on paper and our walls, we say, we want you to come and be the best version of you.
We do.
So I think the risk is very low. And the ones that, may do something that might be a higher risk, we have things that we can do to make sure they get on track or they learn, they grow, and they develop.
Sure.
That type of thing. So I agree with you. It's not something where we're just saying, let that person go off. You hear the thing, the cowboy or the cowgirl in the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
No, we want people to live into who they are, what they bring. And I think when people do that, you get the best of the best out of them.
Yes. Hey, a jumping off point, you were talking about you were looking into our work. And if I remember the story correctly, you said, okay, I get all the stuff around the neuromodulators, Brady, and how we can have a juiced brain. It's like, but I really want that dopamine thing. And I want to take that. You were at IBM at that point. And so I'm putting words in your mouth, Jennifer, if I don't have it right, but you designed a coaching methodology or a program or process that went live in IBM. And I got this number in my head, like it's 40,000 people or something that were impacted. Set me straight on what happened there.
You're actually right. I think when I love IBM. IBM is a company that it was my foundation of who I am. They let you be free and reach your human potential. One of the things about IBM was a coaching program called Blue Core Coaching. Okay. And IBM is really big on learning, really big on giving back to others. You're doing your job, but you always can give back. You can always learn. They never stop learning. Blue Core Coaching was a sanctuary. And I started looking into programs and research that would allow me to create something that tapped into the human being. And I saw your work. Your work was brain-based. It was science-based. And IBM is a tech company. But what it did was bridge the brain and science together in a way that helped human beings see what was possible. So when I designed Blue Core Coaching Program, it was 100% virtual. This was before COVID. This was, we were just in place when COVID happened. We didn't have to change. So this was before COVID. IBM had, at the time, I think it was, I want to say it was 73 countries doing business. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like 400,000 employees. So there's no
Yeah.
way you can use an old school learning model to go and do in person. So Brady, your work, when we started looking into your work and how do you unleash dopamine, simply having people be happy at work, energized at work, using that energy so they can learn. Because at that time, this is when the cloud era and the data, large language models started coming into play. This was before all this new agentic AI. So IBM was so much ahead of the curve.
I
IBM
bet.
got into the cloud and data business and said, hey, we as IBMers, we need to upskill ourselves. But
Yeah.
how do you do that if you're working 40 hours, 45 hours a week? You don't have any energy to do that. So I had to figure out, how do I help people use their brain differently? And your work was the first work that was so easy to understand. The research was there and it was the aha moment. How do we bring people together so they can learn how to use their brain differently? And that's what we did in Blue Core Coaching. They would come to the sessions, and before they realized it, they literally, I think we started off with 10 sessions and then we kind of reduced it to 6, but they literally were in this sanctuary and they were using the word dopamine. They were addicted to learning.
Right.
They were addicted to coaching. They were, most importantly, they were addicted to helping others be successful. Because when you start to increase your dopamine and you have energy and you get happy, you want to give to others. So they wanted to coach others. It was just, a lot of things surprised me. When I left IBM, I started when I was young. I think it was around 55,000 in that community. Since I left, it went up even more. But it was a group of people that literally started using their brains differently so they can have that energy to give back to others. And it was a giving back type thing that created it.
It's what you're saying is so fascinating to me, because I think one of the biggest corners that people have to turn is turning from, I'm an individual contributor and I get a ton of stuff done and I'm efficient and hitting the numbers, to, no, I've turned that corner and I now contribute through others. It's like a different role. It's a different career almost, right? But a lot of people can't turn that corner. And I think what you did with that coaching is you sensitize people to, yes, of course, I want to get stuff done, but I can be instrumental in sitting with another person if I just understand a few things about the brain, and I can help them flourish and I can contribute through them. There's a completely different buzz when we go from, those things on the base of the pyramid up to, no, I really want to make a difference in the world. It's about the greater good. It's about contribution. This is about meaning. It's about purpose. And it feels to me like what you created there helped people kind of transcend up to that level in the pyramid. Is that fair to say?
Spot on. That's exactly what happened. And we didn't have to teach them the Maslow's pyramid, right? We didn't have to teach them or pump information. We created that environment that was conducive for the human brain, for them to flourish. And it was, I will say this, the things that I saw, I could never predict would have happened.
Interesting.
But I wanted to live it. I wanted to live it. I said, this is not a Jennifer thing, right? I would always say, this continues through all of us. If I leave, and one day I may leave, this continues through all of us, like we were talking about earlier. So we need to live through other people, and you have an impact. I remember the first cohort we have. It was a young lady. She was amazing. She was an engineer. She was smart. She was already a certified coach. And she said, I want to come into this Blue Core coaching program, but I'm already certified. I said, the choice is yours. And she says, what will I get out of it? I said, that's your choice as well. I said, however, we're going to create a safe environment for you to learn even more, for you to give back. And, she was so sweet. And she says, well, I got all this work. To your point, I got all this work. How many hours a week will it take? I said, maybe an hour. She said, really? I said, yeah. Do you know she got in the program? She became, you could learn coaching, and then you could also be a coach supervisor, train other coaches, because that's
Yeah.
the exponential, right? We
Yeah.
we reach more people. Her first session, she said, Jennifer, only 4 people registered for my cohort. I remember it was we had animal names
Okay.
as the cohorts,
Yeah.
horses, eagles, and we were just making up names. You could come up with
Sure.
a name, but it was better than just register for 000 class or whatever, 012.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
people started identifying with things. By the end of like that year or whatever, she was like, oh my gosh, I have a waiting list. People are coming, people are coming. So you can't
Wow.
predict when humans flourish, you can't predict how well they'll do. They will surprise you. And you just sit back and you support their flourishing.
Yeah. It's my mind is as you speak, I'm telling you, you're releasing dopamine inside of me because my mind is going to a bunch of different places. I'm just thinking about, what Tutu and Mandela did in Truth and Reconciliation and what they achieved in South Africa. I think in
Yeah.
advance of that, when Mandela was on Robben Island, if anybody was to even try to predict what could have happened in abolishing apartheid, nobody ever would have predicted that. I mean, you and I could come up with 10 examples of that kind of a thing. But I love the mystery. I love the not converging. So there's a divergence in your thinking around let's not try to hem people in, because there's an unpredictability that is really beautiful and mysterious. And yet, what you're also doing is you are putting support. There's like it's almost like a rose and a trellis, right? So there's that organic piece. We never know what it exactly is going to smell like or blossom like or whatever, but we're going to put some structure so that we get the full expression of that organic piece and what's possible. So could you tell me a little bit about what you're doing now? Because you've now, I mean, you were in, after IBM, a 300,000 person global organization, consulting organization. I won't say the name of it. If you choose to, that's fine. And you were all about human flourishing there. We worked with you in that environment, but you went somewhere else to volunteer. And then now you are in your own coaching business. So tell us about Jennifer. This is like Jennifer 3.0 or whatever it is. What are you doing now?
Yeah. So I learned a lot in my career. I started when I was 19. So I spent, 27, 28 years inside of a corporation.
Yeah.
And people have always reached out to me, can you come and help our organization? Can you coach me? And some of the companies have been small, some of them have been large, but working full time, you can't do some of that work. So with the things that I've learned, and the things that I believe and the things that I know can help organizations, I made a choice to make myself more available.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun right now because everything that is turning around with technology, like the way technology is unfolded and how that's impacting every business and every life, I'm able to be there with different kind of companies, individuals who need different things, and be of service. So I'm at a point in my life where I have prioritized impact and service to humanity is higher on my list than it was when I started, my career 30 some years ago. 30 years ago, you're trying to pay the rent and learn and figure out how this stuff works because I was 19 and going to college. Now I want to be the best human that Jennifer can be. I don't want to be Brady. I don't want to be anyone else, but I want to be in that number of people in the world that are in service of humanity and there for one another. And if we all do that in different parts of the world, however we can make a difference. Some people, you hear about, some people you don't. But I think we need each other. So that's what I'm doing. I'm actually helping companies and individuals, and I'm doing it across all industries, not just technology, but government, public institutions. Some of my best clients are, get this, and I love it, they are lawyers. They're lawyers, they're attorneys.
Yeah.
They do big deals. They shape agendas in government. So they do negotiations between different countries, but they need help and services too. So we collaborate together. So I'm loving it. It's fun. I got a lot of energy. But I will say this too. A lot of the stuff we're talking about, it sounds fun and positive and impactful.
Yeah.
There are risk and fear. There's fear too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you have to, a human being has to contend with. So, for example, sometimes solutions, is it the right time for a solution?
Yeah.
Is it the right place, the right context? So I want to make sure that I am in the right place at the right time for the right person.
Yeah. We don't have to talk about specific situations, but what I can say is that if your whole MO is about human flourishing and human beings and human potential, and if you are in an organization that is about extraction and growth for growth's sake, and maybe we could just stop and say growth for growth's sake is the mission statement of a cancer cell.
Yes.
Right? And
right.
It will destroy everything. It will destroy the planet if it's just growth for growth's sake. So you and I are not against growth at all. It's just that is it growth that takes into consideration the integration of the planet and all the different stakeholders that matter, not just the shareholders that walk away with the check. And so when I think about that, there are times when there is a collision between what you are all about and certain organizations that not only do they not value it, it's actually repulsive to them. Because it is the very thing that would get in the way of them extracting as much as possible. So I'm assuming you encounter those types of collisions.
Oh, yes. And I want to make it very plain for people because we know how people feel. When you're in a company and let's say public company, let's just put it in that context. And there's a stock play, shareholders.
Yeah.
The conversations can become so narrow.
Yeah.
We can become so narrow-minded. We can only have conversation about the numbers.
Yeah.
And we forget what impacts the numbers. We forget the why of the numbers.
Right.
And so people become a number. Now, when companies first start, your vision or your conversation is a little bit more wider. But then companies will say, well, we got to fix the number.
Right.
What about this bottom line? So the questions change.
Yeah.
And so a person who, like me, these are my values as well. My values don't change. And I have a brain that knows you need numbers and growth to have a company. But the way you get there is a very different conversation from the numbers don't look good, so let's cut this right here. Because you're only looking at a very narrow piece of it. But if you step back and you figure out, well, why did the numbers get like that? What I found, and I've done so much research, and I'm so thankful for IBM because it's such a large company. You get different kinds of companies. It's almost like a lab.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Brady, when you look at how the numbers get the way they get, it's every single decision that leadership has made.
Right.
Every decision in hindsight, when you look back in hindsight, that decision made that happen. This
Right.
decision made that happen. So you get to a point in engineering, we'll call it, you get down to the cardboard and you have nothing else to extract. But the problem was in, how did you make the decision? How did you exclude the human? How did you get so narrow? So the CEO or the leadership team, the executive leadership team, or if you go down the first line manager, it takes a lot of courage to make sure that we don't narrow the conversation so much that we are forgetting the human impact on the conversation. Because at the end of the day, they'll just cut. And then they'll get to the point where they're looking in the mirror. They say, well, I'm not cutting myself. But sometimes I'm like, okay, if we want to cut, no one ever says I want to go first.
Right.
Think about that. You ask an executive, we numbers, and I do have those questions a lot. When I was in there, people will say that. I'll say, hey, you got one executive making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you got someone, an employee who's trying to start their life making 2% of what that executive is making.
Right.
What's the better life decision? You know, those are hard questions, but I think those are conversations that need to be had, not just looking at the paper and everybody's a number. But, you know, that's a cultural thing too. And there are some great companies, Brady. There are some great companies that have good growth and they make good decisions that are good for their stock, their revenue, and their people.
Yes. And I think this is so apropos right now, Jennifer, when I own a trucking company or a cab company and I go, okay, I can take a look at autonomous vehicles where the insurance costs are less accidents, less benefit, etc. And so I don't think anybody's going to say vilify that leader for deciding that they're going to let some of their drivers go. The question really is, are they thinking about retooling? Are they thinking about upskilling? Are they thinking about where those people can be gainfully employed and adding value in different ways? And if they're not even at least entertaining those thoughts, that I think is a bit of a problem.
It is. Like it's nothing wrong with making hard decisions, but where will the people go? What do they need to flourish and thrive? And so that's one of the reasons I liked IBM, because IBM would say, hey, we're going in this direction. These are the skills that you need. We're going to give you every opportunity to do that. So then and then we'll also give you some support. They're not going to drag you to it, right? But they'll they'll create opportunities for people to go into different spaces. Like I started in engineering, I've been in procurement, consulting, and ended up in HR. Those were opportunities that were created for me to do that. But I had to be a person that didn't want to self-preserve. Because that's one of the things too. You know, we talk about the downside. If you get into a mode of self-preservation, it's very dangerous, because I saw that too. And your work around the brain, how do you help? And see, I'll say this. IBM was a PC company. And you can read, I got Jenny's book behind there because I knew I always talk about that part of my career. But if you find yourself in self-preservation mode, that means I'm just trying to hold ground. I'm just trying to be safe. I'm trying to stay under the radar. It's a very dangerous place. It's like an ostrich with their head in the ground. You have to figure out how to change your brain, in a very different way that creates opportunity and energy for you. Because at the end of the day, if you're just self-preserving yourself, like, I'm going to stay here, I'm safe, nobody's looking, everything around you will change. So it doesn't matter if a
Yes.
company creates that space or that opportunity. But if you have that brain that's juiced up, you can go from this place and that place and this place, and you'll be flourishing. So I think that's incumbent on us as individuals, noticing when we're in this playing it safe mode.
Yes. It feels to be like we're at that point, Jennifer, where it almost doesn't matter what your role is. It'd be really good to be thinking about onboarding capabilities such as pattern recognition, such as
Yeah.
innovation, such as stepping into complex adaptive systems and being able to understand how the systems work, how the human works in it, back to your point, how to step into high stakes, tension filled situations and regulate your emotions, stay in the question longer and not go binary, so that truly generative solutions can come out. Those are some traits that I would be thinking about if I wasn't 68 years old, because it's like I'm finding the off ramp any day now anyway. But if I was 35 and I was an accountant or a law clerk or whatever, I would sure be thinking about those suite of capabilities there. Can you talk about that in terms of how that looks inside your
Yeah.
coaching?
Yeah, I think that is, those are skills that people need to really start to hone if they have them, also start to master. Many times I get the question, Jennifer, are the robots going to take the human jobs? Is the AI going to run the world? And the answer is no. And I'm not saying that in short. What I'm saying is there are different skills and traits and things like you just mentioned, being able to see differently.
Yeah.
And if a human being understood the AI or the agentic AI, or some people say robots or whatever, it has become a part of the system. Just like vehicles, trains, and telephones, technology just changes over time. So it's technology. Then you recognize what are those skills that you need to develop and be really good at. And that is pattern recognition. That is context awareness. Those are
Yes.
things like clarity. Because even if people, and I'm saying this because I know it's like relevant right now, a lot of people, I'll tell you a funny story. My mother is 82. She's not a technology person. She was a school teacher, very smart, but she will tell you, I don't like technology. So she studies a lot. She reads the Bible a lot. She has a lot of questions. So I said, hey, I went and picked her up. She had surgery and I was keeping her. So in the car ride, I connected my, I won't even promote the AI, but I connected it to the speaker. And I said,
Sure.
Mom, you remember how you were looking at the website, Google, and you used to say, okay, Google, and you would ask the question. You used to search like that. I said, now you can actually talk and hit this button. And I said, ask it anything. And she did. And the timing was there. And she was like, 82. She's 82. And she said, can I name it? And I said, sure. What do you want to name it? She said, Miss Eagle. I like the word. I like eagle. So she calls it Miss Eagle. She doesn't know what it is, you know. But the point is, I'm teaching her another way to get answers to questions she has at 82 without complicating the technology, because it's a tool.
Right. Yeah.
So now she's learned at 82 how to formulate her question differently, how to give the thing clarity, how to say, here's the context, now I have a question, or making sure we align with that. So those are skills and things that I think humans can continue to do better and hone them. and the system part. I think the more we do that, the more we help people do that better, help leaders do that better. I think those are the skills that we need right now.
Well, it feels like when you are in your coaching mode, like chat or Claude or whatever, it's as good as how you can prompt it. Like if you are a
Yes.
superb prompter with incredibly intelligent questions, you get almost exponential value out of that. But if you don't have good prompting, so I'm thinking about you as a coach and knowing how to frame up the type of questions that when you enter it into somebody's brain, it actually starts to release energy. It creates a cognitive dissonance or tension and causes that person to go scurrying for an epiphany. It's almost like it's a little bit of dealing with AI when you're coaching somebody and interacting with their brain. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you're dealing with intelligence. It's if you think about, you got human intelligence and you got artificial intelligence. So it's a way of interacting with intelligence. So I
Yeah.
like to say that's what intelligence looks like, right? Knowing how to prompt, knowing how to think, knowing how to frame, but it's the intelligent system.
Yeah.
It's just an artificial one. And then you got a human one.
Yeah.
So recognizing, I enjoy it because it is an intelligent system that prompts the human to think differently. So
Yeah.
when I'm using it, I'm figuring out how is it prompting me differently,
Yeah.
right? Because there are some things that I wouldn't think about if it didn't prompt me. So it's a give and take.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with humans, right? We are prompting each other
Yeah. Yeah.
if
Sometimes,
we're doing it right.
yeah. Sometimes in the coaching situation, the human does exactly what chat does, which is, I want to please you. I want to come back with an answer that'll make you happy, whether whether there's any integrity to that or not. And we have to really train chat or Claude
Yes.
or whichever Gemini. It's like, no, it's not like you. I'm not looking for a sycophant, right? I don't want you to just be
Yes.
flattering me and my ideas. I want you to add value. And so I think that
Yes.
in the coaching, people are eager to please and say the right thing. And it's like we really have to use the right prompting skills so that we are now partner to partner versus parent to child or,
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah. You created
Some of them
Jennifer.
can feel like kids. I'll tell you a funny story. So you
Yeah.
mentioned Claude,
Yeah.
and then there's Gemini. I have a list of probably like 75 of these things that I have gotten familiar with and I
Yeah.
recommend to my clients for whatever context. So I will say this, between Gemini and Claude,
Yeah.
Claude this is what I say, Claude and I, we have a very sound intellectual conversation.
Yeah.
Gemini is super duper smart, but Gemini is my wild child. Sometimes Gemini will just go off and assume that I want to do this or that, and I have to actually have them together, working together. And I'm
Right.
saying, okay, when I'm working on something that may break something, I need Claude. And
Yeah.
I need Gemini when I need it just to go and just, so they start to take on, to your point, they start to take on, if I think about clients, my clients, like human clients,
Yeah.
everybody is different, right? And so everybody needs a different kind of presence. And I will challenge my clients differently. And I have to be present differently with my clients because some of my clients, they just want me to just challenge. Some of them, they want me to teach and challenge, or
Right.
whatever it is. So we have to recognize everybody's still an individual in a system.
Yep. Yep.
Even the AIs, they're all coming out from different companies. They do different things.
Yeah, they do.
It's changing in like a month. There'll be another one and another one. But it's all a part of a system. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jennifer, to the listener, the viewer today who shares your passion or wants to share your passion for developing human beings and human potential and flourishing, as we kind of bring this in for a landing, and you could say anything you want to these people, what would you say?
Trust yourself to be the best person you can be in your life. I think trusting yourself has not been promoted
Yeah.
because we have profiles and expectations that have been given to us. But I think if we trust ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, what happens is we'll find out there's so much to you, to me, that we don't know. And you start to feel like, wow, I think I can do this. This is a renewed lens. This is a new way of looking at things. So it does. Trust is a fact. Trust is a very different word. It's not concrete. But I think trusting yourself, I think we've gotten away from that somehow. And the more
I
we can
agree.
figure out how to get back into trusting yourself, I think it's one of the things I want to leave people with.
I just want to violently agree with you. It's like I have enough self-doubt, Jennifer, for 10 human beings. And so at the root of that, it's like, yeah, I don't trust myself. Self-limiting beliefs, a sense of shame, a sense of everything's going to be snatched away at the last minute. I am unlovable. I don't matter. I'm not enough. I could give you a litany of narratives and stories that really undo that trust thing. And so
Yeah.
I can see people and hear people who would potentially be listening and watching you right now going, okay, I want to do what you just said. I want to trust myself more. How do I do that? How do I step into that? And are there a couple of very concrete and specific tools you could give that person who says, I want to trust myself more, but I've got all these voices that make it very difficult?
Yeah. Number one is make sure you have a small group of people around you that can be your support.
Yeah.
You know, sharing some of these self-limiting beliefs with them, maybe some ideas that you might have. So number one, have that small group of people. The second thing I would say is get a coach.
Yeah.
If you can't get a coach, you can get an AI coach and have a conversation. And the coach can help you understand how you're wired. You know, really understanding why am I wired that way? And everybody, what you'll find is every human being has the same wiring to a degree, and you'll find we all have these things. And so the third thing I have been saying, and it's the thing that I keep saying that helps me unleash. You know what I say? Get over yourself. You know, think about this. I'll say, Jennifer, get over yourself. You're not that great. You know, trust yourself to do this. If you make a mistake, you're not that great. So I will literally look in the mirror and say, get over yourself. Because when I do that, I humble myself and I trust that I'm Jennifer and I'm not that great and I'm going to make mistakes, but it's okay. And it gives me enough energy to move to the next point.
Yeah.
So I would say make sure the small group of people, get some coaching, some learning to understand yourself, and then get over yourself. That's how you trust yourself. because you can move. You're not stuck then.
I I love that. Oh, Jennifer Paylor. That's a good place to put a pin in this. Just such a refreshingly concrete and practical way that people can do something quite deep, and that can seem insurmountable. That whole trusting yourself. But you've given us 3 really great ways that I think anybody can access those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And read your book. Read Brady stuff. I mean, I'm serious. It helps. It does help. It helps you like, wow, we're people. I'm no different than anybody else. That book and the research, I'm not just saying that because I'm in front of you. It literally transformed the way I think about how I use my brain.
So amazing to me. And thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So where do people get a hold of you if they want to get some coaching or they want more of Jennifer? Where do they go?
They can go to peopleengineer.com.
Okay.
And reach me there. They can email me at Coach Jennifer Paylor at Gmail if you prefer Gmail. So peopleengineer or CoachJenniferPaylor.com. Coach Jennifer Paylor at gmail.com. Yeah.
Beautiful. Do you have any books coming up that you're working on right now?
I am working on a book around leadership. It's not, I don't think it will be this year. I'm giving myself some time to, So I do have a book coming up, and I've been working on some different, like you're doing, podcasts and videos. So right now I'm just supporting my clients. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Well, your clients are lucky to have you. And Jennifer, I just want to say thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome, and thank you so much, Brady.